This is the craziest I have ever seen. The craziest earthquake footage. That's why I'm making another video about the Philippine earthquake, because you haven't seen this, trust me. So I'll start, I can't say, they're all crazy, but I will increase the intensity of craziness during this video. So do you see that landslide here? Do you see the ground breaking open? Insane, like in the Shemi, you see here in a school. You see how the students are shaking? Usually this is in a bad movie with low budget. People are like, okay, shake around, you're driving in a car, it's an earthquake now. No, this is absolutely real. They're shaking in real time right now. And this is really very important when you see the next videos, because I want to show you how the ground was shaking from the outside. Here you see how the ground is opening up. I've shown this to you before, but watch it again, how there's a height difference, how the crack opens up, how the vegetation is actually moving in waves, right? And there are two kinds of waves. I'll explain it later. The love wave and the Rayleigh wave. This is coming together here. People were describing this. We felt like being in a mixer. And you will see the mixer movement in the inside videos. That's why I said this is insane. When you see this, this is insane enough. How you see, and then the guy standing there holding himself. I've shown you that video in my last video, but I want to show this to you again because this is the outside. And we're going to the new videos that show the inside. So outside here again in the port, you see how the cracks are open. You see how the boats are moving back and forth. You see how the people can't stand. They can't stand, guys. This is a 7.8. Imagine a 9+ earthquake on the west coast of Canada and the US, Washington, Oregon, Northern California. Imagine what would happen there. So people in the initial shaking, they can't run. Now they're running, and see how far the cracks open. You can see the rebar of that pier and several cracks are opening. This thing is falling apart. This is like in a I don't know, end of days movie. Absolutely scary. But there you don't see the swirl movement. The swirl movement is what we're seeing when we're looking at the inside of the earthquake footage. And it's amazing that now every day we're getting these new surveillance camera videos from people that were filming themselves actually while this quake was happening. And as I just said, I'll show you the waves here. This is the waves that we're dealing with, and I'll explain how they later create the kitchen mixer. So by the car, you see the rebar, it's breaking apart, right? So this is really scary for everyone who was involved there, but they should run because a tsunami can come. Yeah, you never know. Is the tsunami coming? So that's why everyone says, run. Do not look back. Do not look out for others, as hard as it sounds. Run. So if I was them, I would run faster. I know it's hard with cracked ground, but this video here, insane. Watch the ground. Replay it. Now the shaking starts. The sound starts. Now watch the table. Do you see that? Do you see that? You have to watch this several times, guys. And of course, leaving grandma behind and just run out, yeah. But it's a reflex, right? I don't want to bash anyone. It's self-preservation. But this video is very, very interesting. So I was watching this like 10 times because so much is going on in this video. When the walls start shaking, when the table starts shaking, of course you're looking at grandmother, but you also have to see, not focused on one detail, you have to see the overall kitchen mixer shaking that you see inside the house, which is absolutely insane. And here, this is why you never should have furniture near your bed. This woman is saving that kid. So you also see intense shaking, and then you see what's falling on the bed. And also I think the power is out here. You see what's falling on the bed? So if you have shelves, art, pictures, lights, anything near your bed, take it away. I would say take it away. I wouldn't even say secure it. Take it away. Far away, because this is a big shelf that was probably not right next to the bed, but it's high enough. So if it falls over, it still reaches on the bed. So that looks actually bad, right? So if you think it couldn't get any worse, but you have to look at the footage that I'm about to show you next. Same thing here. Grandmother saving the kid. But look at the movement. Look how she has problems to stand. She can't. So that's why, if you're in earthquake country, her best bet would be next to the sofa, duck, cover, and hold on. But she's holding on to the kid. So yeah, she's lucky that that curtain that she holds there, that this is holding up, and that the house is solid, right? Usually best bed would be next to the sofa, that the sofa can shield you if something's falling from the ceiling or something like this, right? But it's absolutely insane there. You see the intensity. So this is 7.8. Imagine an 8 or anything between 8 and 9 or a 9. You cannot move. You cannot move. So I'm always thinking, if I sit on my sofa, where would I go? Would you even be able to get out of your chair and get next to the chair and duck, cover, and hold on, right? Or underneath a table. Don't go underneath a glass table. There are some studies that say it's safer to duck and cover next to a big piece of furniture than actually underneath the table. So do your research. I'm not so sure what to believe on that. And you also see in this video how long the shaking lasts. How long it takes grandma to get out, actually, right? How shaky the whole thing is. And now imagine you have that long shaking on the West Coast, can shake up to 6 minutes, and then 8 to 15 minutes later, a tsunami wave, 100 feet or even taller, arrives. You have to run. You have to run. But if you run out of the house, you can be hit by falling stuff. But here, watch the concrete. Watch the concrete. Doesn't this look like jelly? This is what I meant. This looks scary. This looks absolutely insane. So I don't know if that's a cat or a dog that is running around there. It's running through the windows, through the picture a few times. Doesn't really know what to do, I think. And then you see falling objects from the building. But this is like, is this a floating deck in the water? This is how it looks, right? So this is how violently this earthquake has moved the soil. It's absolutely insane to see these pictures, in my opinion. So it's good to see, if you live in an earthquake-prone area, then you know what to expect. And the same here, right? Look at the vegetation. Look at what the vegetation is doing. And also, this is not only the camera shaking. You also you see the road is shaking, right? This is intense. Really, really intense. These trees, how they're shaking, it looks like sometimes a monster is coming through the vegetation. I remember as a kid where I was riding horses, a circus was actually spending their winter there, and they had two female elephants, and the guy was actually walking through the forest freely with these elephants. And so I was on the outdoor riding arena riding my horse, and then you see the vegetation exactly shake like this, guys. I'm not telling you BS. And then an elephant stands right in front of you. You can imagine what the horse does when it sees an elephant. So it wasn't really pleasant. Or you go for a trail ride, because that was close basically to a forest and a river. You go on a trail ride and you're walking the trail, and then you see the trees shaking like this. He was walking through the trees like dense vegetation with these elephants. And imagine, I knew it because they had the elephants in my barn. They were there, but normal hikers, it scared the S out of them, really. And here's another video where you see how slowly the shaking comes and how everything shakes, and also the noise that it makes. That is also something that I find super, super scary, how the noise sounds in these earthquakes. So that we have a 6.9 today. The aftershocks are actually getting bigger again. So that's a little bit scary if you're dealing with the Pacific Ring of Fire, because this area definitely is good for a stronger one as well, right? We know in Japan, 2011, foreshock was, I think, a 7.4 or something. That was a foreshock. So let's not hope that this is getting something more dangerous. What you're seeing here is, you're on a lake with your family and you see the landslides. You hear the roar, and you probably know this is an earthquake. And if you watch my channel on a regular basis, I'm reporting about landslides, stuff that falls into a lake. We know that can create a tsunami. So being on the water there is not good because this lake is not very wide. It's more like a fjord. And we've just seen a fjord produce the highest tsunami ever, I think 1,700 feet, something like that. It's like a bathtub effect. So you're not safe there. If there's a tsunami coming and you take your boat and you go out in the open water, yes, but you're in that narrow lake and you see it coming from all sides. That is not good. That is quite the moment of panic, I have to say. If you're the father of that family, right? I think he was doing the correct thing, telling his family, let's paddle to the ground, to land, right? Because you don't know how much more is cracking and falling, what could happen. And since there's steep slopes, as soon as they would reach the shore, they could climb up higher. So I think that is absolutely the right decision. So the list of all the aftershocks is what I want to show you here while we're looking at that video. Yeah, you see how many aftershocks that is. I'm just scrolling through here so that you see all of them. But significant just right now, actually, while I'm speaking and making this video for you. So this is actually really, really crazy. So I want to explain to you now what the geology of this is, because it's not only that I can say that's the craziest I've ever seen. Myanmar was crazy already. I mean, that was absolutely insane how we saw that crack move. That is something I always say, I'll put it in the end screen. You have to watch it and watch it. You have to watch it a few times until you understand what's happening. But what we're seeing here, this is a tsunami coming in, by the way, that was caused by this earthquake. But the geology, the waves, let's dig into this right now. So while I'm telling you what is happening, do not only look at the objects that you see in the videos, like closets, chandeliers, look at the ground. Look at how the ground is moving, and then look at how the vegetation is moving, because you see what the ground is doing. It's absolutely insane, because usually we're distracted because we're looking at furniture and walls. Look at the ground. So I'm showing you videos how this earthquake looked from the outside, what happened with the ground, and then you see something from the inside as well. And the inside, I tell you, the inside videos are insane, and I have quite a few, because this is, you can't even walk, you can't do anything, so violent. So this earthquake that I'm talking about struck offshore Sarangani near southern Mindanao. Philippine officials are listing this now as 7.8, although initial reports came in said that felt like a 9. It was about 20 miles, 33 kilometers deep. Location matters because this was not a small inland tremor. It was a major offshore earthquake, powerful enough to trigger tsunami warnings and actually tsunamis. It did collapse buildings. You've seen my previous videos, damages roads, shake coastal ground already sitting beside water, and then this crazy stuff that you see here in the videos, these waves like, and we have to talk about this, what was causing this, because it was probably not liquefaction, and I'll get to this. So the ground in the videos, it appears to crack open. We see it along coastal pavement and near homes, and these are not tiny hairline cracks. As you can see, this looks like the abyss is opening. These are long, open fractures that are cutting through concrete, soil, road surfaces. And when the people say the ground moved like waves, open fractures, that actually matches how major earthquakes behave, because during a large quake like this, the worst motion is not always the one clean back and forth shake. Sometimes different seismic waves arrive together. We have to talk about that, because that's when the ground can look like it's actually rolling. So there are two surface waves that matter that we're using in science. First is called the Rayleigh wave. A Rayleigh wave basically rolls through the ground almost like we see a wave on water. So it makes the ground move both upside and downside. So up and down, and then forward and backward at the same time. So Rayleigh waves are elliptical motion with both vertical and horizontal movement, as if that alone wasn't bad enough. And again, you see it in the outside videos, but the inside videos blows your mind. So because of these waves, that's why in a major earthquake, building can look like it's being lifted up, dropped, and then pushed at once. The second wave has a very interesting name. Sounds so harmless, the love wave. A love wave does not lift the ground in the same way. It moves it basically side to side, parallel to the surface. So that side to side motion is brutal. Brutal for buildings, for walls, for roads, bridges, because it basically drags them sideways while their weight, the weight of these buildings, is still pushing downward. And now put these two waves together. Rayleigh waves are making the ground roll, and love waves are dragging it sideways. And then in the inside videos, we see it up and down, sideways, and then circling around like a steering in a pot. This is what happened, right? So if they overlap, and this is what people reported and what we see here, the motion can stop looking like shaking, and it can start looking like the ground is being steered. That is this mixer-like motion that people are describing and that we see here. But waves alone do not explain every crack that happened here. And we see later in the video bad stuff. It looks like Nishemi, the Nishemi landslide that I've reported about in Italy. I put that video on the end screen. That is insane too. Of course, the big question arises, was that liquefaction? Because that can be a major key player in large earthquakes, because liquefaction happens when strong shaking hits basically loose, water-saturated sand or silt. So the grains lose some strength or contact strength, and then we have water pressure that is rising between them, and then the ground can temporarily behave like less solid ground and more like a weak shifting mass, like jelly. And that's what it looks like here, but some important thing is missing in these videos. Earthquake-induced liquefaction, we see excess poor water pressure and softening of saturated granular soils under cyclic shaking. But that matters because these videos appear to be from coastal areas where that definitely could be a factor. So we have coastal roads, we have reclaimed land, we have ports, we have river mouths, we have beach deposits, we have low-lying fill that can be much more vulnerable than hard bedrock. But we will see later videos where it's shaking on top of a mountain there. So, but when that ground shakes that I've just described, it can shake hard, right? It spreads sideways towards the water. It's called lateral spreading. But usually, this kind of spreading happens on flat or gently sloping ground where liquefaction causes the ground to extend sideways from shear or tensile cracks. And that is exactly the kind of damage pattern that people are focusing when they see the videos here. Long cracks, broken pavement, ground separation, coastal ground moving apart. So, honest answer, from the video alone, we cannot prove liquefaction, but the setting and the style of cracking make liquefaction or lateral spreading a serious possibility. And what makes this so dangerous, or why coastal earthquake damage can look so shocking, right? A road can look fine 1 second, and then the shaking hits, and then the surface waves roll through, ground is lifted, dropped, and dragged sideways. Then the weaker layer underneath starts to lose strength. Pavement above does not bend like rubber, it breaks, the cracks open, one side drops, another side slides, and suddenly the ground is no longer one surface. It's basically separate moving blocks, and this is why people can describe it as waves, even though this is solid ground. But the wave motion is real, the failure is real, and when both happen together, the ground can look alive. So we want to explain the building motion. This explains why some buildings in the videos look like they're not just swaying, but twisting. right? If a building gets hit by a one direction shaking, it may look it may rock mainly in one direction. But if we have the Rayleigh waves, the Love waves, and local soil amplification arriving together, the building can experience motion in several directions at once. Up and down, forward and backward, side to side, and that creates how we call it like a multi-axis movement. Columns are pulled one way, floors drag another way, walls crack, connections fail. And if the structure is already weak or poorly detailed or sitting on soft ground, shaking does not need to last long to cause catastrophic damage. And that's why the same magnitude can produce very different damage depending on what is underneath the building. Rock behaves one way, loose, wet soil behaves another. Reclaimed coastal ground can behave worse. So when people watch all the footage and they say, I've never seen the ground move like that, they're not imagining it. Large earthquakes do not just shake the surface, they're sending the waves through it. And in the wrong soil, those waves can tear the ground open and can be different from earthquake to earthquakes. There are three signs actually that would make liquefaction more likely. First, we have water or sand coming up from the ground, and we do not see that here in these videos. So that's why I'm a little bit skeptical. Second would be pavement breaking into blocks and spreading sideways towards the coast. Yeah, maybe. And third, buildings tilting or sinking, even if they did not fully collapse. I don't see the sinking here. We already have clear cracking and we have ground failure in the footage. We have buildings collapse. But what still needs confirmation is whether sand boils, if we had water ejection or subsurface soil failure, whether that was documented at these sites. I don't see it at the moment, right? Not every crack is indeed liquefaction. Some cracks can come from landsliding, as we see here in all this video footage, settlement, coastal edge failure, or simple rupture of weak pavement. But coastal cracking after a major offshore quake should always raise the question, right? So Philippines, we know that. It sits on one of the most complex earthquake zones on Earth, and of course along the Pacific Ring of Fire. That's what the whole country is part of, the Pacific Ring of Fire, right? Where plates converge, they subduct, and they grind past each other. And in this case, the quake struck offshore near Sarangani, close enough to strongly shake these coastal communities and also trigger a tsunami that has reached parts of the region. You see it in the background videos. Tsunami at the worst case was roughly 3 feet, 1 meter, but that can be bad enough. That can drag you out. That can be very unaliving, as we have to say here on YouTube, right? So severe building damage and landslides, of course, as well. So that's why this event is so dangerous, right? This major offshore quake, huge aftershocks, 6-point range, many aftershocks, crazy amount of big aftershocks, right? Strong coastal shaking, tsunami threat, damaged buildings, and now the footage showing these ground cracks opening. And also now we're getting these inside surveillance camera footage videos that are insane, really insane. And again, replay some of the videos and look at the ground. You have to look at the ground. Do not be distracted. First, look at the building, the living room, the furniture, but then look at the ground. Look at everything. So I replayed some videos like 10 times to really catch everything that is going on here. So this is not just the aftermath that we're looking at here. This is really the ground movement showing us how much energy was passing through, actually, through these waves being together. And the ground did not just crack, the ground was weak, right? Part of the ground could not longer hold together when both kind of waves were sent through the ground. That's also why the ground looks so unnatural. Video, guys, check out the video here in the end screen. It's absolutely crazy. If you want to support the channel, I have a buy me a coffee site. Link is in the description of this video. Thanks for everyone who's doing this. Thanks for your supers. Thanks for my ongoing supporters that do it on a regular basis. Guys, you're really helping this channel. I'm so grateful for you. For my channel members that support the channel, become a channel member for behind the scene videos of my private life or whatever is going on. If Shizzy's hitting the fizzy. And thanks for your comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for just being here and sticking with this channel and choosing this channel for your earthquake, landslides, earth news, so to speak. I'm on the pulse for you, and I hope I meet you there in a second, because this is equally as insane, even I think more insane. So see you there. Bye-bye.